ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Dignitaries present here, dear friends, I am extremely happy to meet you all this evening. It's always a pleasure to talk to the enlightened audience of AMA. As you heard, the subject for the 4-day lecture series is Harmony of 4 Yogas for Bliss and Peace. The modern man is in search of peace. Just now, as you heard, most of the people are in tension, irrespective of age, caste, creed, color, nationality, whether India or abroad, whether developing country or developed countries, whether the parents or whether the students, all are under stress, all under tension, and they are all in search of peace of mind. This is a very marked phenomenon, and the rate of suicides is increasing at an alarming rate all over the world. So many books are getting published, and they are becoming bestsellers. Derek Humphreys has written a book, The Final Exit, and the book is also Exit, not available on the bookshop. With great difficulty, I got one copy from a book fair. I wanted to know what is written there. Do you know what is written there? How to commit suicide. And the book is selling like hotcake. The bestseller book of Japan is The Complete Manual on Committing Suicide. 3.5 less copies sold in 1 year. And some people committed suicide while taking the book in the hand and dying in the manner in which it was told in the book. France's bestseller book is Suicide User's Manual. They all want to commit suicide. And the rate of suicide is much more in developing countries, which annuls our equation is H is directly proportional to M, where H is equal to happiness, M is equal to money. Rather, wherever per capita income is more, the rate of suicide is more, the rate of schizophrenic patients is more. According to National Institute of Mental Health, on an average, at least one person from every family regularly goes to a psychiatrist. 25% of the people in America are going regularly to psychiatrists. Lot of different types of mental diseases are coming out. We have never heard the names of those diseases. Those diseases are coming up in America, in other developed countries. Gradually they are infiltrating. Affluenza has come. Nugen neurosis, affluenza, drug addiction, violence. These are spreading like wildfire. And people are under stress. Special courses on stress management are coming up. Special conferences on happiness is coming up. And now America has discovered a new thing. And that is, so far we were talking about GNP, but now they are talking about GNH. Gross National Happiness. Gross National Happiness Survey, and they have taken it from Bhutan. The development index does not depend upon GNP, it depends upon GNH. So now Brazil has taken the lesson, and they have started these conferences on happiness and peace. And from all over the world, they have got the experts. And you know, there is recession in America. In India, the recession is receding little by little, but in America it's still persisting. But one industry is flourishing wonderfully, and that is happiness industry. So many conferences, so many programs on happiness, and they are all in great demand. because everybody is stressed. So it's a special industry, happiness industry, where it's a golden age for those who can give happiness. And if you can give instant happiness, oh, you'll be having much more market. So happiness industry is flourishing. And according to the estimates of the psychologist and the economist and the sociologist, within next 5 years, this happiness industry will be the 5th largest industry of the world. Not chemical industry or other industry, happiness industry. So people are badly in search of peace of mind. But all the methods that have been described and prescribed, they do give them happiness, they give them some relief, they do give them some relief from the tension. But these are all temporary measures. Even the stress management, Western models of stress management called voodoo dolls and hat diaries and punching bags, these are all not working. That is why they are going now for long-term happiness, long-term peace, and they are coming to meditation and yoga all over the world. The Vedantic method of stress management is, if you really want to get peace of mind, number one is that we must know what do we want in life. Everyone wants happiness and peace. And we think if we get a particular object, we will be happy. But after we get the object, we again become dissatisfied. We want some other object. Once we get that object, then again we become dissatisfied. So this circle goes on. And this is quite natural. For every human being, this is quite natural. Why? Because thousands of years ago, our rishis, they declared, man cannot be satisfied by finite things. He can never be satisfied. He can only be satisfied by infinite fulfillment, and infinite happiness is the happiness and peace that every human being will be searching for. You cannot have it otherwise. Na sulke, na nalpe sukham asti, yovai bhuma tat sukham, nalpe sukham asti. Yovai bhuma tat sukham. How can you get real happiness and peace? Yovai bhuma. Infinite alone. By reaching the infinite alone, you can get infinite happiness. Until you get infinite happiness and peace, you cannot get fulfillment and satisfaction, and you will be always searching for more and more peace of mind. Infinite alone. And why so? Because our very nature is infinite. Our nature is bliss. So unless until we get bliss, we cannot get peace. Why? Because our very nature is bliss. Take a fish out of water. What happens? Becomes restless to go back to water. This is the proof. Why are we restless? Because we have gone out of our nature. Our nature is to remain immersed in our own true nature. Is what is our true nature? Sat Chit Ananda. This is Vedanta says. Our basic nature is Sat Chit Ananda. Inside every human being, there is a center of consciousness that is called Atman, and its very nature is Sat Chit Anand. Infinite existence, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss. That is our true nature. This is what Vedanta says. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudo atma na prakashate drishyate tvagraya buddhya shukshmaya shukshmadarshibhi. Says Kathopanishad. Inside every human being, there is a center of consciousness. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu. Inside every human being, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion, nationality, age, gender, every human being. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudo atma na prakashate. There is a center of consciousness, Atman, but it is not visible. If it is not visible, then what is the proof? What is the evidence? The modern man wants evidence. So the next line says, Drishyate. Some people have seen it. Some people have realized it. That is its documentary evidence. Drishyate tagraya buddhya. But who have seen it? Tagraya buddhya. Those who have got one-pointed intelligence, not the ordinary intelligence. Sukshmaya Sukshmadarshivi, who have got that fine intellect. The fine intellect, which is different from the ordinary intellect. And now the modern science has come to our rescue. What is Sukshmaya Sukshma Buddhi? 5 years back, we could not explain what is meant by the rishis when they are telling that Sukshmaya Sukshma Buddhi. Now we know it. The latest discovery in the modern science is SQ. Dana Zohar has written a book. The name of the book is SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence, where she says neurologically, biologically, psychologically, physiologically, from every point of view, there is a concluding evidence. There is something called SQ, which is the basis of both IQ and EQ. What is IQ? Intelligence quotient. EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. SQ, spiritual intelligence, spiritual quotient. What is IQ? IQ will tell you how to play the game of life. What is EQ? EQ will tell you how to play the game of life under changed circumstances with changed strategies. And what is SQ? SQ will tell you whether to play the game of life at all or not. Well, that is your choice. What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? Why are we here on this earth? What is the ultimate aim of our life? This is all SQ. So, IQ, EQ, and SQ. And another discovery of the modern science is IQ is available with all the species, including the computers. EQ is available only with a few species, but SQ is available only with the human beings. Whatever ancient scriptures said, out of 84 lakhs of species, only human beings can have spiritual knowledge or spiritual realization or self-realization. Now the modern sciences know not 84 lakh, there are 125 lakhs of species. Of course, now cloning and everything is going on, it might have multiplied. But not much different. Without any microscope, they could discover 84 lakhs of species. Now the modern science says 125 lakhs of species, but they also say out of 125 lakhs of species, only one species that human beings can have SQ, nobody else. No other species can have SQ. So this SQ, Sukshmaya Sukshmadarshibi, only human beings have got, and that is its proof. Some have seen it. Drishyate, that is its documentary evidence. Narendra Dutt was a college student in Calcutta. He wanted to know the truth. He wanted to realize the truth. He read the books of all Western philosophers, Kant, Hegel, Spencer, John Stuart Mill, and became an agnostic. He said, I don't believe in God. And his father was a very well-known lawyer in the High Court of Calcutta. At that time, Calcutta was the capital of India. So he said, I am the son of a lawyer. I want document evidence for everything. And so he said, whenever any saint would come to Calcutta, he will just go there. And then after listening to the saint, he will say, now enough of your talk on God. Now answer my question. Have you seen God? Nobody could answer satisfactorily. He became dissatisfied. But he wanted to know the truth. One day he had gone to college. He was studying in Scottish Church College. That day, the professor of English literature was absent. So the principal himself came to take the class of English literature. He was teaching them the poem of Wordsworth. The name of the poem is The Excursion, in which the poet describes that by seeing the beauty of the nature, he goes into a trance, into superconscious state, in samadhi. The students asked, sir, is it possible that a human being can go to a superconscious state, a samadhi state? Professor William Hastie said, yes, it is possible. I have seen one person who frequently enters into that state of samadhi. If you want, you can meet that person because he stays in Calcutta. There is a temple of Dakshineshwar, of Mother Kali. He stays there, Ram Krishna Paramhans. And Narendranath Dutt, he said, okay, let me also test this Babaji. He went there. When he went to the Dakshineshwar, in the room of Sri Ramakrishna was talking to the devotees. He sat down in one corner of the room. After some time, he said, now enough of your talks on God, now answer my question. Have you seen God? And for the first time, he received the satisfactory reply. Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, my boy, I have seen God. Then he said, I am seeing him more intensely than I am seeing you. And then he said, if you want, you also can see him. But you will have to undergo spiritual practices. That is the science of religion. Science says H2 plus O2 is equal to H2O. Hydrogen, oxygen gas will give water. I don't believe. Hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas. How it can give water? It's not a question of belief. Come to the laboratory, mix hydrogen, oxygen, have hydroelectric process, and when you don't get water, you say, I don't believe in what? This equation. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna gives the challenge. I have seen God. You also can see him. But you have to come to the laboratory and experiment. Narendranath accepted the challenge. He accepted the challenge. He underwent spiritual practices. And he also went into that superconscious state. He had a realization of that supreme reality when he was in Kashipur in Calcutta at that time. And after that, because he had a first-hand encounter with the supreme reality, that is why he could declare at the top of his voice in the World's Parliament of Religion at Chicago. That was on 9/11, you know. He gave his historic speech at the World's Parliament of Religion in Chicago on 9/11. That was 1893, 11 September. That was also 9/11. And because we did not listen to his speech when he talked about harmony of religions, so there was another 9/11. 2001, the Twin Towers were broken. That's a different thing. But he talked about harmony of religions in that World's Parliament of Religions. And then during his talk, during his speech on Hinduism, he gave that clarion call. He repeated the shloka from the Shvetara Upanishad, where the rishis say, Shunvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Aditvarnam Tamasa Parastat Tameva Viditvati Mrityameti Nanya Pantha Viditayanaya. Listen, ye, the children of immortal bliss. Listen, ye, even who are residing in higher spheres. Listen, all of you. I have found the ancient one, the golden one, who is beyond all miseries. Knowing him alone, you shall be all freed from these miseries. There is no other way round, no other way out. This is what Swami Vivekananda declared. And then he told all the Americans who were having a lot of tension, because they were being told, you are sinner, you are sinners, you are sinners. They were undergoing tremendous stress at that time. They were all suffering. They had already undergone industrial revolution. They had already got the affluenza, not the affluenza, but they had tested the fruits of the affluent society. They were all rich. But mentally they were sick. And they were all suffering. At that time, Swami Vivekananda gave them the nectar of immortality from the Vedanta, the nectar of Vedanta. He told them, the Hindus refused to call you sinners. Sinners, Vedanta does not recognize sin. It recognizes error. And the greatest error you are making when you say that you are a sinner. No, you are not sinners. Let me call you, brethren, by this great name by which our rishis have told, Amrutasya Putraha. What are you? Amrutasya Putra. You are the children of immortal bliss. That is the Vedantic concept. If you ask any student, what is a man? He will immediately reply, man is a social animal. Because that is how they have been taught. Man is a social animal. That is the normal definition of a man. But Alvin Toffler says, no. Man is an economic animal, but after all he is an animal. Aristotle says, no. Man is a political animal, after all he is an animal.